Isolation day 34, Tuesday the 21st of April. I hope everyone's well. The plan today was to check my basal rates or my background insulin in the evening. In the morning though, I also didn't eat because I just had my head down and working. Let's have a look at my blood sugars. And you can see overall my blood sugars today were really very good. Really very level throughout. Didn't eat in the morning. I did have some lunch. Interestingly, before lunch, my blood sugars dropped away. So you can see that in the morning and overnight, pretty good, but they dropped away from 4.7 to 3.8, or 5 to 4.7 to 3.8 by about 1:30, and they remained relatively level after that, although I did eat. What I'm looking to do is I'm going to reduce my insulin by 0.025 of a millimole. That, I'm hoping, will stop it reducing slightly, will keep it at a level pace. So we'll see going forwards what that'll do. But that was the only time today that I really went low. Other than that, I had in the evening. Now granted, I know ordinarily you are not supposed to check your basal rates whilst exercising. I did want to exercise, so what I did was I had my lunch. I didn't eat after lunch. The only thing I did eat was enough carbs to cover the training. So I had 4 jelly babies, which is 16 grams of carbs before I trained, and I actually had one after, and my blood went from 5 to 4, which you can see here. And the routine was this. My blood sugars at 3 o'clock in the morning was 6.7, and at 6 o'clock in the morning was 7.1. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's a really good day and I'm quite comfortable with it. So why don't we talk about hypos? Now, I've been presenting my blood sugars to you, and what I haven't realised until now is that I'm sure that people looking at my blood sugars will probably be saying, my God, I'd be having full-blown hypos at that kind of level. You know, 2.8s and 3.2s and 3.6s and 3.8s and even 4.2s for some people are really difficult to control. I've been diabetic for 34 years now, and when I was first diagnosed, my hypo awareness was really very good. I would shake when my blood sugars were below 5, and I would feel unwell, and I would sweat, and I would be very uncomfortable, and I would need to eat. What's happened in over 34 years is that's changed. My hypo awareness has diminished. And certainly in the last 4 years since I've been on keto and I've had low carb intake, my frequency of having blood sugars below 4.5 has been more often. You've been witness to that. Let me read to you what it says about hypoglycemia. So a low blood sugar, also called hypoglycemia or a hypo, is where the level of sugar, glucose, in your blood drops too low. It mainly affects people with diabetes, especially if you take insulin. A low blood sugar can be dangerous if it's not treated promptly, but you can usually treat it easily yourself. That's the kind of description of what hypoglycemia is, and I'm sure anyone watching this, you probably have experienced it and you've dealt with it. There are those odd occasions over your life where you will be unable to deal with it, and at some point I'll tell you about a couple of those. The symptoms of low blood sugar are as follows. Sweating, almost always present. Check for sweating on the back of your neck at your hairline. Nervousness, shakiness, weakness, extreme hunger and slight nausea, dizziness and headache, blurred vision, a fast heartbeat and feeling anxious. Now, what I would say to you is, I don't get a lot of those. What I do get is my brain gets foggy. So I know relatively quickly when my blood sugars are, let's say, I would say 2.5 and below. I will know. Anything above that, and I'm still able to function quite well. I don't sweat. I very rarely get the shakes, although I still do get them at times. Now I know that when you're looking at this, you're saying, well, that's not a good thing at all. And I agree with you in some ways. You know, my hypo awareness is not a good thing, which is why the CGM is so important. You know, the continual blood glucose monitoring is so important, because it gives me warning. It gives me fair warning that this kind of thing's going to happen. And as I said before, you do become quite reliant upon it switching off so that you don't go too low. The reason I've been going as low as I have quite recently is because I've had the CGM off to test my basal weights correctly. I'm looking to put that back on tomorrow so that I'm back in the game. But I wanted to talk about that because I know I gloss over the fact that at times I go quite low. As I say, I'm sure other people looking at that would be going, my God, that's incredibly low. But for me, it's not. And actually, interestingly, I've been listening to quite a few podcasts over the last 2 or 3 months. There was a podcast with the Mastering Diabetes guys. One of the guests was a physicist, and he works with numbers all the time. And as an engineer, he was saying, I prefer to be low than high. So I think my brain works in exactly the same way. And whether that's right or wrong, I know that for some people that's just not right. But for me, I prefer that to being high. I hope that explains it and you're not thinking, what a bloody idiot. We'll leave it there tonight. Look after yourselves. We'll catch up tomorrow.